can you pray salah behind an imam who, according to your madhab, has broken his wudu, but according to his, he has retained his wudu? Imam Ahmad said, كيف لا أصلي وراء سعيد بن المسيب وأبي هريرة. That what would prevent me to pray behind the likes of Sa'id ibn al-Musayyab and Abu Huraira. Similarly, he shows how Abu Yusuf al-Qadi used to follow the madhab of Imam Malik when he would go to Medina. Just to look at posterity, or after the death of Shah Wali Muhaddith ad-Dihlawi, and quickly to wrap it up today, I think I've taken enough time. After the death of Shah Wali Muhaddith ad-Dihlawi, he leaves his son, his eldest son from his second wife, Shah Abdul Aziz, the heir to the Madrasa Rahimiyya. Shah Abdul Aziz succeeded in taking the revolutionary message out to the public. Maulana Ubaidullah Sindhi, who is a famous scholar and commentator on the Dehlawi Manhaj, mentions that if Shah Waliullah Muhaddith ad-Dihlawi addressed 10 people and influenced 10 people, Shah Abdul Aziz managed to reach out to 10,000 people. If the Hujjatullah al-Baligha was a message addressed and targeting the elites, Shah Abdul Aziz's message was out to the general public. He taught for more than 60 years. He taught hadith, he taught tafsir. His lessons on the Quran, or Dars al-Quran, were particularly famous, and he wrote a tafsir, or either a tafsir was dictated to him because he had lost his eyesight, known as Tafsir al-Azizi. Both of Shah Abdul Aziz's sons, Shah Rafiuddin and Shah Abdul Qadir, penned Urdu translations of the Quran, and many of his students, Shah Waliullah's students, also wrote tafasir. Perhaps the most notable one is by Shah Thanaullah al-Panipati, who wrote Tafsir al-Madhari, which is in about 12 volumes. After Shah Abdul Aziz, Shah Muhammad Ishaq was left in control and in charge of the Madrasa Rahimiyya. What is striking of Shah Muhammad Ishaq is that all 3 or 4 orientations in front of us today, which is the Ahl Hadith, the Deoband, and the other Salafi movements of Nawab Sahib and others, all seem to stem from Shah Muhammad Ishaq. We see that all the religious orientations in front of us, whether that be Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, whether that be of the modernist, of course, quite contradictory, the secularists and also the communists of India felt that Shah Waliullah Muhaddith ad-Dihlawi was their inspiration. And just to quickly wrap it up, I'll show a few, just demonstrate a few examples of how this was achieved. Looking at the particular case of Saharanpur, or the scholarly milieu of Saharanpur, we see that Shah Abdul Aziz, for example, taught Shah Muhammad Ishaq. Shah Muhammad Ishaq taught for 20 years in Shah Abdul Aziz's life. He was succeeded by Shah Abdul Ghani al-Mujaddidi, who taught the likes of Rashid Ahmad Gangohi and Maulana Qasim Nanotwi, the founder of Deoband. Maulana Rashid was highly intellectual, and in his last years he devoted about 60 years to the teaching of hadith. And perhaps his most famous student, who was also his scribe, was Maulana Yahya Kandelwi, who was the father of Sheikh Zakaria al-Kandelwi. Another line through which the Deobandi scholarly milieu draw their relation to Shah Waliullah is also through Maulana Mamluk Ali Nanotwi, who taught at the Delhi College and who was the student of Rashiduddin Khan, who was a student of Shah Abdul Aziz. Maulana Mamluk Ali was a teacher of both Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, the founder of the Aligarh University, or the Anglo-Oriental Mohammedan College, and the teacher of Maulana Qasim Nanotwi, the founder of Deoband. Again, what these differences allude to were the differences of opinion or reaction to the British Empire. Shah Abdul Aziz took a more aggressive approach to the Dehlawi methodology, and within his life he founded, through his nephew and Shah Ahmed Shahid, what is known as the Wahhabi movement today, or at-Tariqatul Muhammadiyah. Tariqatul Muhammadiyah aspired to establish the Sharia in the northwest frontier, and then through the northwest frontier they aspired to take over the whole of India and establish Sharia. Quite incidentally, they were massacred by the British through the help of the Pathan warlords, who had quite hypocritically informed both the Sikhs, who they were fighting against in the Punjab, and the British agents as to the whereabouts of these individuals, Shah Ahmed Shahid and Shah Ismail Shahid. Both of them were martyred, and many modern historians like to delve upon to see what were the basic faults within this movement. Many of them say that it was the lack of taking upon modern technology at the time. But when we read the epistles of its founder, Shah Ahmed Shahid, we see the striking fact that he had no other intention than martyrdom. He mentioned in one of his letters that we have no desire for the worldly possessions, nor is it that we desire power. What we desire is martyrdom. If this is the case, then all the modern arguments would hold very little value. From the Shah Ahmed Shahid's movement and Shah Ismail Shahid's movement, there was a monumental reform which would last until the 1857 and further on. But the aggressive style of adopting Shah Wali's message or to that level was then further rethought after their death. It is after the war of Shamili, in which Maulana Qasim Nanotwi participated, that the members of the Wahhabiyya or the Tariqatul Muhammadiyya felt that they needed to rethink the methodology which was perhaps propagated by Shah Waliullah, and thus the Aligarh Muslim University and the Darul Deoband were formed. And they rationalized this by saying that we need to go back to the original method of Shah Waliullah Muhaddis ad-Dihlawi in keeping the message intellectual and less aggressive.